Okay.
What do we have? We have Bank A, Bank B, and Bank C. From these three banks, you can be able to go and get a loan. You have a house that you like. How much is the value of the house? How much is the value of the house?
754,000.
Anytime you put here, 700,000. That value may change. The value of the house is large enough that I don't care about cents. I care about everything. I get exactly the same house from both places. If the house is more expensive, everything is going to be different. If the house is less expensive, everything is going to be here. If in that case I put the value of the house here, everything else takes that information. Is this clear?
Yes.
And then you want to get a loan. If you want to get a loan, the bank charges you points. Bank A is charging you how much, Kenya?
2%.
Charge you 2 points. Bank B is charging you how many points? Kenya, how many points? Bank 2.
1.75, I think.
1.75. Bank C charge you how many points?
185.
Okay, 1. These things are given. And these things may change from a bank to a bank. Is this clear? We said something else. That points are actually percentages. Which means if the points are percentages, what you have is this part, you turn it to a percentage. Correct? And you format it so it would look a percentage. Give it even more points. As many digits as you need. Is the formula correct? It's not, because I want to take it and drag it and get all the other points. If the formula is correct, you go on and you see what needs to be stable and what needs to change. And you know that this column, B, does not change. You put a $sign before that. Then you take that information and you drag it. You put it only once. Now I gave you 3 banks. For your final, I'll give you 5 banks, 10 banks. Do you do any more work? Yes or no?
No.
No, you don't. You drag it to more cells. How much dragging into more cells takes you to do it? Fraction of a second. A second. I'll give you 2 seconds. And then, the next point is, you have annual interest rates. The annual interest rates for the first bank is how much? Kenya. I gave you interest rates and I gave you points. How much is it? Mustafa. How much interest is it? Jason, you were not there. I know, you didn't get it. Edson,
Yes, sir.
how much are the rates?
There are 4.725
4.725% for the first bank.
4 point.
Hold on a minute, I put it here. Do I see 4.725?
No,
Oh,
you
I
gotta add
don't.
another decimal.
I need to put an additional point, otherwise I do not see what is happening. I need to be careful and click that part, how much time it takes it. In my operations management class, I would count what kind of movements and how much time it takes you to do it, and that's what I'm gonna pay you. Is this correct information for the first bank?
Yes.
The second bank with 1.75 points, which means what? It charges you less to give you a loan. How much is the rate here?
4.899.
I'm listening.
4.899, wasn't it?
4.899. Usually, when we put rates like that, it's like putting 4.9, but writing in such a way that's gonna look better, although the real rate is close to 4.9. Clear? We move on to that case. Do I want to see this part? No, it's not sexy. I want to have it with the 8 first point. Do you get gas in for your car? That's why they give it with 3 decimal points to look cheaper. And I go on to the cheapest from terms of points bank. How much is the rate here?
4.750.
4.750. This
That's not
is
cheap.
a percentage.
You sure?
I need that to be looked at the same time. And you have to figure out which bank is giving you more expensive loan. Mustafa, are you sleeping? Which bank gives you more expensive loan?
Bank. You mean the loans?
Yeah, which bank gives you the most expensive loan?
That's bank one.
Bank one gives you more expensive loan.
Because the percent is too high, right?
You have to do the calculations to figure that out.
Good, you have to do calculations. The expense are in 2 parts. One part is the points, how much they charge you. The other is how much they will get as an interest.
Right.
You don't know it. Why they do it like this? Because they want to fool you around. Are you going to the bank with your computer or with the iPad or with the thing to do the calculations, or you take whatever they need you to get? And my question is here, what is the internal rate of return? Did I ask you to tell me what is the internal rate of return? In the book, whenever we have that stuff, do we calculate the internal rate of return? Did we do in the previous chapter what is the internal rate of return? Then I want you to know it. Otherwise, forget about it. Is this clear? What is the internal rate of return? A way that you put the 2 of these together, so you will have one thing that tells you how much you need to do, so you will pay for the loan that you have. Is everything clear? Yes.
What is the significance of the points? Are we using that in the formula?
Yes. This is what you have. This is what you have. And if this is what you have, then the important part is you need to calculate how much is the payment for the points. The payment for the points is in dollars. So what do we need to have the payment for the points? I go back to Pakistan. And if I need to have the payment for the points, I take the value of the house, I multiply what is the points that I pay, and I divide it by the 100. Correct?
Yes.
And I will do it in many ways. I take the value of the house, I multiply what is the points in a percentage, and I divide it with 100. Is this correct?
Not correct. The other time, but.
Good. It's not correct. What is not correct? And I make here a few mistakes because I want to learn from that mistakes. The entire house, the entire loan is 100%. The entire loan is 100% of my amount that I borrow. 2% is something that the bank gets, which means the remaining is what I need to have for my house, which means the value of the house, I changed the color, is 98% of the amount of loan that I have. But since the banks have different points and everything is 100%, everything is 100%, the value of the house that needs to be financed is not the same as a percentage, although it's the same as dollar sign. Is this clear? And my question is, why, having this picture, I need to make choices, I need to make decisions. Which loan is better? From bank A, from bank B, or from bank C? He says from bank A. Is he right?
No.
Good. From where?
No,
Brooklyn or
C.
Brooklyn or Queens?
Sorry.
From
C.
Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, if you go to Brooklyn, next to the City Hall is the first bank that we have in the Brooklyn. And when Manhattan and Brooklyn were different towns and we didn't have the Brooklyn Bridge, people in Brooklyn, they want to compete with people here in Manhattan. And in Manhattan, they were not getting it right. In Brooklyn, they got it right. And in Brooklyn, they said, from that point of view, the best bank to do business is the bank C, because it charges you less. And if the bank charges you less, this means that you get more money for the house. The question is, how much is that money? The question is, how much money is that money? And I need to take that information. What is the mistake? The mistake is that it's not divided by 100, but by 100%. What is the difference? Significant. The difference is a lot of money. And I want you to think about money correctly and fast. How much money do I pay for the bank? In one case, $10,000. In the other case, $8,750. In the other case, $5,000. Which is the best deal? Mustafa said when you pay $10,000. Is he right?
I say C.
No, you didn't say C, you said A. And we taped it.
I say C.
Do you see it? So, Bank C charges you less. Is this a better deal? No, it's not, because you don't know the other part. What you don't know the rates. If you look at the case as the points are dropping, the rates are increasing, or not. And you have to see what is happening with the rates. So what do you know? You know how much they charge you for the bank. you need to find out how much is the total loan. The total loan is how much is the house, plus how much is going to be charged you for the points. This is your total loan as an addition. But you can calculate the same thing in a different way. You can do it in Pakistan. You see what is happening there. This total loan is the amount of the house multiplied with this particular amount divided by this one. Is this correct number
No.
or not? No. But it's here 7 and 6. Is this correct number? Victor,
Yes, sir.
is this the correct number?
Not sure.
What do you mean not sure? You look at these two numbers. They are close to each other,
Yes.
but they are not the same. One should be right and the other should be wrong. So I want you to figure out which one is right, which one is wrong, and why. And we move on. I'll assume that these are the right numbers that we need to have the loan. Hmm?
Oh, I see. So this is the loan including the points.
These are the loan includes the point.
Okay.
In other words, this case here is how much you pay for the points to the bank plus how much you have for the house. If you have this case, then you know what is happening. You can be able to do it in another case, which means different banks for the same value of the house, they give you different amount because they charge you differently. Is this clear? Then we go on and we say, I want to get a house that I will pay monthly. And a year has 12 months. I can pay for 18 years, for 20 years, or for 25 years. How many periods do I need to have? As many years multiplied to how many months. I need that information to drag it down. Are these numbers correct? No, they are not, because I did not lock what I need to lock. So what do I need to lock? That part here does not change. If this part here doesn't change, then I drag it down and I have the correct amount of periods. So what do I know? I have my periods here. And as I have my periods, I have the interest for the bank. But this interest is the annual interest. I need to go on and find out the monthly interest rate. And the monthly interest rate is what? Kenya. Don't write. Is the annual rate divided by the 12 months. If I take it and I drag it, do I get correct information?
No.
Why not? Because I did not lock. What do I need to lock? The column here. The column here doesn't change. The other columns are changing. I take this and I drag it and I get this as the monthly interest. If I don't give you 3 banks and I give you 30 banks, do you need more time to do it or not? Therefore, this is what is important. I mark it. These are important. This is what you pay monthly for an interest. What you need to calculate? You need to calculate payments. You need to calculate payments. You go to the formula, to the financial formula, and you find out what are the payments. You calculate the payment. You calculate the payment with what? What is the monthly rate? You calculate the payment with what? What are the periods that you have? And you calculate the rate with what? With what the bank is gonna pay you money, so you will have the loan. This is the value that you need to have, or this one?
This
The upper.
The value of the house or the value of the loan?
value of the
I don't know.
You get the value of the loan. And if you have that, then you have what is the monthly rate, the monthly payment.
I have a question, Professor.
Before you go to the question, if I take it
No,
and
you
I
lock
drag
it.
it, is this correct?
No.
Is this correct?
Oh.
This is not
Yeah.
correct. Why? It takes the right rate and the right amount, but does not take the right payments. I go on, and here I say, where are my payments? My payments are here.
So lock.
This one needs to be locked. And I will have it here. I take it and I drag it. Do I get the correct information?
Yes.
Good. If I get the correct information here, and I take this for 18 years, and I take this for 20 years, do I get the correct information here?
No.
No. What do I want you to do? Make mistakes. No. Why do you need to make mistakes down? I want you to tell me what else do you need to lock. You lock the row here, and you lock the row here. If you lock these rows, you take that information and you drag it. Is this the correct information?
Yes.
If this is the correct information, then you will have it for this as a correct information. If these are correct information, you will take it as this correct information. What do you have? You have 3 banks. You have 3 banks. They give you a loan. As they give you loan, you calculate how much your monthly payment would be. These are your monthly payments. What do you want? Do you want to have high payment or low payment? And why? Kenya would say one answer, and she would be correct. She would say, I want to have as high payment as possible if I can afford it, so I can have the house paid as fast as possible. If that's the case, Kenya may say, hold on a minute, I would be able to check if I will get the loan, not in 18 years, but in 15 years. She's gonna change one number and she's gonna see the payment for 15 years. Clear? So there is no right and wrong choice. It's what you like and why. And that's what I want you to explain in plain English in your text. If Kenya wants to have the house paid as fast as possible, she would go for the 15 years, and she will choose the lowest payment from that case, which is what? From bank A, B, or C?
C.
Good. Kenya wants to have this particular choice. Kenya wants to have this particular choice. You go to Lina. Lina has a different preference. She wants to take as long as possible so she would have the lower amount. She looks at the case and she says, if this is the situation, I would prefer what, Lina?
2008.
From which bank, A, B, or C?
Still C, but just a longer period.
So, Lina would prefer this one for the longer period. She would go on to the bank and say, can I have a loan for 30 years? And the bank will look at her stuff. How old are you? 20. You can get a loan for 30 years. If I go on and they will ask me how old I am, 60. You cannot get a loan for 30 years. Why? Because in 30 years I'm gonna be very dead. But in 30 years it's gonna be fine. If she wants to have the loan for 30 years, she goes on here, changes the case, and she has a loan for 30 years. What she is winning? $200 every month.
Nothing, because I pay longer. I won't win anything because I will pay the same amount, just
And
longer.
we are gonna go that because this is what I want you to look at. But what I want you to be able to do here is you can change very fast the situation and you can see what you prefer. You prefer either to pay more money and finish early or less money and finish later. Clear, Mustafa? I want to see your eyes all the time. Same thing as Victor. So, from that point of view, these may be your choices. Except if you go on here and the points may change. You can go on and the bank can see that you are having good credit. They have lower points. If they give you lower points, you go on and you see what is happening here. If they give you even lower points, you go on and you see what is happening here. If they give you even lower points, you go on and see what is happening to your payments. If this is the case, Kenya, and you want to have the loan as fast or as long as possible, are you gonna change your preference?
Yes.
So now, are you gonna go with bank C or with the bank B or with the bank A?
I think I'll go with bank B.
Why?
Oh, no, never mind. A.
Why you're gonna go with the bank A?
Because, 329,
Why?
is no longer.
Don't get lost into numbers. You go with whatever is the less amount of payments.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be bothered with the numbers. What is the lowest is 925 or 928. $3 here, you prefer whatever is the lowest payment. Is this clear?
Yes.
Why it's the lowest payment? Because they gave you different amount in points. They have exactly the same case. Is this clear? And this is what you have to do. Do you have to analyze details for everything to make that information? No. You have what is happening with the payments. If this is the case, then you may select either this one or this one, based upon you want to pay as fast as possible or you want to have as low payments as possible. Is this clear? Then what else did I give you?
Plus,
What else did I give you? Did I give you any other piece of information?
yes.
By the 14, 15?
15 month.
You
year.
expect it to double.
And I said that for 15 years, you check to see what is happening to the value of the house. The value of the house is given. The value of the house in 15 years, the value of the house in 15 years may change and can go up 2 times. That's the value of the house. Can go up 2 times. Do you know how to lock the cells? you put it once and you have it here. If you put it once, you find it in all other cases. What do you need? You need more space. You did it once. You do it for 3 times. The value of the house goes up. Why you need that information? Why do you need that information? The crisis of 2009 taught a big lesson to the banking system, because you should not have a loan that is valuable more than the value of the house you have of that particular period. So what you want to do is, you want to check after 15 years. You go on, you go after 15 years. You still have a loan. Is the loan more valuable than the value of the house, or is less value of the value of the house? And you want to do that for the choice that you have for that particular case. What do I want to do? I want to see what is happening with the years. I start with today. And today, I get an amount of money. How much money do I get? I get 505,000 50, 100, 500, or I get 500,000. What is the amount of money that I take? This one or this one?
Second
No,
one.
but you only get 500,000. You pay.
This is what I get. This amount is already in the bank. Therefore, here, I have the amount that I get. And the next period, I need to pay my payment. I'll go with 15 years. If I go with 15 years, this is the payment that I have. And that payment is gonna be for the next 108 periods. Clear? I mark everything in the same amount, and I go further down. How many periods I need to go? 180. If I want more, I can go 360. Double that amount. I'll go to 180. I'll go on to the 180. I put too many, I clear up. This is what it happens with my payments, right? If I want to do that for all the loans that I have, I take all that amount and I can calculate it for all. Is this correct or not? This is what I have. This is what is happening with my loans, right, Victor?
Yes, sir.
Good. Did you have coffee?
2 cups.
Espresso?
No.
No, you need 2 dubios of espresso. It will keep you for the rest of the day. What is happening here? You get that money and you pay back. What do I want to do? I want to go on, I'll put some extra lines, and I want to go on and find out the internal rate of return.
Yes.
What is the internal rate of return is my question from the previous chapter. What is my internal rate of return? Vanessa? What is my internal rate of return? Vanessa? What is my internal rate of return?
When the present value is equal to 0.
And what does this mean? What does this mean? Is the internal rate of return 0? No.
All payment.
It's this one here. And I want now to go on and see something that is really important. The internal rate of return is 0.4%. The monthly rate is 0.39. I take this one, I take this one. Now, I don't want to focus on that stuff, and I want to look at this one. No, sorry. The internal rate of return. I want to focus on this part here. And I want to see, let me go here, put the view, split the screen, and as I go on, I want to compare these two rates. And as I want to compare these two rates, I want you to tell me what is the difference. And if this is the internal rate of return for one bank, you can calculate it for all the other banks. And I want you to tell me why you prefer bank A from bank B and C. Is there any reason?
Lower.
All the percentages are lower.
The internal rate of return, in other words, the overall charge is lower in bank A than it's in bank B and C. Is this always the case, or why is this? Because they gave you lower points. If they give you, sorry, if they give you higher points, the picture changes. And if this is the case, where are you going to go? You're going to go to C. And you can move from one to the other based upon what you have. What is the difference between the internal rate of return and the monthly interest payments? Vanessa gave me the bullshit answer that everybody gives in colleges and they get an A. And C will get an A. But I want to learn how to do business. What is the difference between the internal rate of return and the quarterly quoted interest?
What's what?
The difference between the internal rate of return and the monthly quoted interest. Is there any difference? And what is the difference? Let's go on back to Vanessa. Do you remember what you said? Vanessa said that the internal rate of return is the rate that gives you a net present value equals to 0. What is a net present value equals to 0?
The payment.
The total sum of your investment.
Okay, the net present value equals to 0 means whatever you paid and whatever you receive in today's value is 0. In other words, you pay everything that you got in today's value. Is this clear? That's why I have the other question. Because if I go to the bank and I have Victor as a customer, Victor wants to know what is the internal rate of return. And he gets the answer. And if he is satisfied with the answer, then he says, okay, can you go on and calculate what is the net present value? And if I go here, I want to calculate the net present value. And I can calculate the net present value in different ways. One way to calculate the net present value is if I find all these future values in present time and sum them up. Another way to calculate the net present value is if I use the net present value function. And that is from the previous chapter. Can you tell me how to calculate the net present value? Or can I have someone who can go there and say, here is, that's what I'm gonna do. Go, Lina, and do it. I want you to come here and calculate the net present value. How do you want you to calculate it? The fastest way. What's the fastest way? With the net present value function. Do you know it? I don't want you to knew it last month for that chapter and forget it. I want you to know it for the rest of the time. What is the rate? Correct. That's the rate. What is the value that you have?
All those.
Okay, all the negative values. What did she calculate? How much the money that she's gonna pay is valuable today. And now she needs to take out how much money she got today. You click OK, and you go on, and whatever you see here is something else. How much money did you get today? How much money did you get today? How much money did you get today? The book says that you go into this particular case and add something. What are you going to add?
1,500.
What are you going to add? If you add this, what do you have? Add it. This is the most common mistake that I see in 8 out of 10 mistakes that I see. And before, don't change anything. We said we need to learn from mistakes, right? I go to the view. I stop splitting the class. Everything that I have here, I magnified it, and I want to see that she has $847. Do I have that amount of money anywhere here? Is this correct information? What do I have here as an addition? What do I have here as an addition? $500. Do I borrow $500 or I borrow more than $500?
Oh, you borrow more.
I borrow more.
510.
Therefore, that's not what I need here. I borrow more. Is this my correct information? Is this my correct information? Is this my correct information? That's not 0. Vanessa said it should be 0. Vanessa said it should be 0, right? But this is not 0, this is you overpaid or you underpaid. So I want to tell me what is the case. If this is the case here, I want to go on and see which is the rate that you use. You pay this rate, or you have the other rate, the internal rate of return to have as a rate. If instead of this one, you have 21, what do you have here? $10,000. What is the $10,000? Do you pay this $10,000 twice? And I'm not going to give you the answer. You should have here 0. because everything you pay is gonna be exactly the same you have, but this is the way that you go on and find out. Otherwise, something is not working well. Is this clear? And that's the answer. What's the internal rate of return and what's the net present value? And I don't want answers copied from the book. Vanessa told me whatever they teach you at school. I want to go to the bank and be able to explain to the customer something that the customer would understand. And the customer would agree to get the loan if the customer pays exactly the same thing that the customer gets. Is this clear? And I want you to play around a little bit, make mistakes. Now it's the time to make mistakes. And you learn when you make mistakes and you learn when you do it. That's why I gave it to you. And yesterday I was playing around with the people who are tutoring, and they didn't have me as an instructor, and they have to go on and do it. They got the same mistake, and then we fixed it. And now they are comfortable to go on and tutor you again with not making that mistake. But this is what I want you to be able to do. Is this clear? Good. If that's the case, then I would do something else. I would like to take that information as it is. The time is up, right? And I want you to go on and calculate for the next 15 years what is happening, and to see when the house has a value like this in 15 years, what is happening with my bank. We'll talk about that when we go on. I want you to do it several times and not save your work and do it. And next time in class, we can do the rest.